What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Derek.
And I'm Kevin.
And together we're last week's album where we're bringing you the only reviews with two different views. And this week we're talking about Ouroboros by Ray LaMontagne. And we're asking the big question, does My Morning Jacket help Ray LaMontagne take Ouroboros to the dark side of the moon? Cheers, Kevin, everyone at home.
Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
So, as I kind of alluded to earlier, the band My Morning Jacket has their fingerprints all over Ray LaMontagne's sixth full-length album, Ouroboros, which is named after the ancient symbol of a snake eating its own tail. This one follows Ray LaMontagne's Supernova, which was released in 2014, which was produced by the Black Keys' Dan Auerbach. So without further ado, let's talk about what Ouroboros sounds like. Kevin, what'd you think?
I thought this album sounds like Pink Floyd ate the Black Keys, who ate Simon and Garfunkel.
I think Ouroboros sounds like Ray LaMontagne and My Morning Jacket jammed some Floyd tunes after rocking the pinball arcade on a Saturday night. So let's talk about some highlights. Kevin, what'd you think?
I thought Hey, No Pressure was a great song. It's classic acid rock. He sings anything you want your life to mean, it can mean, which might be the most inspirational thing anyone has ever sung to me on a record. I also liked While It Still Beats. I thought it was slow burning orchestral rock, very powerful and moving, and a great choral ending. Probably my favorite track on the album.
I completely agree with you on Hey, No Pressure. I also liked In My Own Way. Really dug the soft classic rock vibe, tight guitar solos. Really interesting lyric. I liked all the plans that were made. Let them die, let them fade. I'll spend the day in my own way. Also very inspirational to some degree. Lastly, I also liked Wouldn't It Make a Lovely Photograph, the closing track. Fantastic lyric here. He says, never going to hear this song on the radio. LOWLIGHTS. Kevin, what'd you think?
First and foremost, the song Homecoming. I probably would have left it off the album or at least not put it first. I think just an 8-minute slow track is so overwhelming right at the start of an album. So I would have put it at least somewhere else, if not maybe lost it. But I think right after that, he kicks off strong and things get a lot better. I also thought it was a little bit over too soon, which is kind of the irony of this record. It was written and recorded to be listened to as a long player, like a vinyl. They've got a lot of the songs marked part 1 and part 2. So for a long play to feel a little bit short at the end, I think it just ends a little abruptly for me, which was strange. Not terrible, but just a little bit of a disappointment. What about you?
I really didn't have any lowlights, but I think that's a fair take. Yeah, that 8-minute opener is definitely a little overwhelming, but I think it set the tone fine for where it was going. It also kind of foreshadowed the ending somewhat, I thought, too. All right, so that brings us to the overall rating and asking the big question, does My Morning Jacket help Ray LaMontagne take Ouroboros to the dark side of the moon? Kevin, why don't you start us off?
Sure, I will start answering that question. Yes, they absolutely take him to the dark side of the moon, and they do it pretty well. I don't think it feels like a My Morning Jacket record, and I mean that in a good way. They don't overpower it. They sort of do their part and help Ray create kind of a new sound for himself, which I thought was really, really nice. I think it's all over the place in a good way. There's plenty of different sounds and vibes here. Definitely achieves his goal of playing like an album. The 2-part structure, the lucid flow between songs, make it a really strong, long listen. And I think that's why, Derek, he says not going to hear this song on the radio, because he says there are no singles on this album, which I'm sure Sony and RCA were really excited to hear. And, it is meant to be listened to as an entire album, and I think it's stronger for that. So I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5.
I think you hit the nail on the head. To answer the big question, I totally think, they take Ray to the other side of the moon here. One thing I was really kind of blown away by was how good Ray LaMontagne was at playing lead electric guitar. I guess this kind of echoes your point. One thing, as I was kind of reading about this album, I was a little concerned the lead guitar parts were just going to sound just like Jim James. I was just a little concerned it was going to feel very much like a Jim James album, and it didn't. Jim James and My Morning Jacket really allowed Ray LaMontagne to explore and develop these songs. Even that quote, that you mentioned earlier about not having singles, it was hard for me to pinpoint just tracks I like because I enjoyed the whole thing. I think there are some parts in here that will appeal to longtime Ray LaMontagne fans, especially like the beginning of Homecoming that featured Ray's raspy vocals and acoustic guitar. That was kind of similar to his earlier work, but then just blossoms into this fantastic musical journey. So that being said, I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. And that makes a combined 9 out of 10. So go check out Ray LaMontagne's Ouroboros. Thanks again for joining us here at last week's album. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel or the podcast. And as always, I'm Derek.
And I'm Kevin.
Cheers, guys.